NATO expansion.
It was never about NATO enlargement.
It's not about NATO.
It's not about NATO expanding toward Russia.
This was never about NATO.
It's absolutely nothing to do with NATO expansionism.
And it has nothing to do with NATO.
This is not about NATO.
What do you want me to do, draw you a picture?
Johnny, what the hell are we going to talk about today? Well, Johnny, today we're going to talk about the most horrific thing that's ever befallen governments around the world, ever. What's that? The internet.
Oh my fucking God!
The internet? What the hell are you doing? Yeah, the internet, Johnny. I mean, the internet, it's giving ordinary people the opportunity to find out what the fucking hell is actually going on in the world. Right, yeah, and the governments, they just don't like it.
Research group uncovering a network of dozens of accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter, spreading what's believed to be coordinated posts with disinformation about the war.
But Johnny, surely that's not the worst thing that's ever befallen the governments. It's
they're regulating podcasts in Canada.
Oh yeah, and I was reading about this bill, because it's terrifying. So they want to bring in this bill whereby they regulate podcasts. So what they want to do is every podcast streamer or whatever it is platform that makes more than $10 million revenue, not profit, revenue, has to register with the Canadian government. They then want them to hand over information about their content and the people listening.
But Johnny, what the hell are they scared of? What are they scared of? Back in the day, Johnny, back on the farm when we were kids, we had 3 channels, 3 television channels, and a couple of newspapers. When anything came out in the bloody newspapers or on the TV, and we just believed it. Well, I suppose, yeah, just believed it. Can you imagine that? Right, yeah. And you know, Johnny, there was a golden time back there last century sometime when the mainstream press actually hated the government's guts.
But Johnny, what?
Yeah, they hated them, and they would take every opportunity they could grab to bring the government down or make the government look bloody stupid.
Oh my fucking God!
Reported in the Telegraph that during the pandemic, the government worked in tandem with social media companies to try and silence critics of its lockdown policies. This so-called counter-disinformation unit was designed to tackle domestic threats and secretly monitored critics of the government, with their social media posts apparently being blocked from being widely circulated.
So, Johnny, are you saying that governments have had this bloody long-term cosy relationship with the press and big business and all that, and the internet has just come along and fucked that all up? Is that what you're bloody trying to say?
So they're going to say a number of things are un-Canadian, and then you can just silence them. Look what Trudeau did with the truckers.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
We just had one of their guys on to talk about it.
Not just the truckers, but people who donated to the truckers got their bank accounts closed.
Yeah.
Well, that is wild.
Yeah.
You got locked out of all of your money because you donated to a cause where you didn't think that people should have to take an experimental vaccine in order to be able to work to drive a truck.
But
really?
Yeah.
Really? You think that's okay? Like that?
So luckily, we got this bloody internet that they so despise. We got it so we can look up and keep track of what the hell they're doing. Well, I suppose, yeah. Well, I suppose it does bloody put the fear of God in them.